Okay. All right. I think this will do it. Okay. So, next section of the spoilers here. We're looking at what was revealed on August 17th, so 2 days ago. So, let's see here. We have, first off, the virtue of persistence. Okay. So, this is a 7 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard, that's any graveyard, onto the battlefield under your control. That's pretty strong. So that's very much like Portal to Phyrexia, just 2 mana less, and it doesn't have that first part where you make your opponent sacrifice their creatures. Okay, so there's that, which is pretty cool. Then the first part is the adventure. For 1 and a black, it's a sorcery. It's called Lockthwain's Scorn. Target creature gets -3/-3 until on a turn. You gain 2 life. Okay, yeah. So this is like a really solid control piece, because you're going to start off with just the removal portion. You're going to gain 2 life, kill a creature, survive a little bit longer, and eventually, once you get to 7 mana, you're going to pop this enchantment down, and you're just going to start pulling stuff out of the graveyard. Unfortunately, it doesn't do anything the turn that you play it, because the first trigger happens at the beginning of your upkeep. So your opponent has time to deal with this before it starts digging stuff out of the graveyard. Next up, we have a Spellbook Vendor. So, my sound is a little weird. Okay, yeah, let's just bring it down just a little bit. Okay, cool. All right, Spellbook Vendor. 1 and a white for a 2/2 with Vigilance. It's a human peasant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 1. When you do, create a Sorcerer role token attached to target creature you control. Okay. That doesn't seem too bad. So, like, every turn, this person is just, like, selling books to people and making wizards. That's kind of funny. That's really funny. Yeah, I like that. Good theme. There's the Werefox Bodyguard. We saw this earlier, but we'll talk about it again. So, 1 and 2 white, creature, Elf Fox Knight. It is a 2/2 with flash. When Werefox Bodyguard enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 other target non-fox creature until Werefox Bodyguard leaves the battlefield. And 1 white, sacrifice Werefox Bodyguard, you gain 2 life. Spud. No. Good. Yeah, and like I said before, the biggest thing about this is that if you're in a mirror match with someone who's also running this, you're not going to be able to eat the opposing bodyguard, because it says non-fox creature. So that's just something you're going to have to bear in mind when making a deck with this. So, like, at current, aside from the flash part, I think Brutal Cathar is just a little bit better still. Okay. Next up, we are looking at Extraordinary Journey. For XX and blue, you get an enchantment. It says, when Extraordinary Journey enters the battlefield, exile up to X target creatures. For each of those cards, its owner may play it for as long as it remains exiled. Whenever 1 or more non-token creatures enter the battlefield, if 1 or more of them entered from exile or was cast from exile, you draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Interesting. Whenever 1 or more non-token creatures. Okay. Yeah. So then, here's the thing: is like, this triggers not only off of the cards that you exiled with this card. It'll trigger off of, let's say, like, you're playing some older stuff. You're playing, say, what is it? The Foretell cards. Like, if you play play a spell with Foretell on it, it will trigger this. You play anything else that, like, brings things in from exile, or if you pair this in red with the impulse draw cards, like any reason for something to come into the game from exile is going to cause this to trigger. So yeah, not too bad. It sucks that it only triggers once each turn, though. It's like that kind of turns me off from this card. But yeah, it's not bad. The first part is probably like the best part of it, just exiling like a whole bunch of stuff from your opponent. Ingenious Prodigy. We talked about that one already. We didn't really talk about that one too much. Talian's Messenger. Okay, here we go. So Talian's Messenger, 2 colors and a blue. It's a creature fairy noble. 1/3 flying. Whenever you attack with one or more fairies, draw a card, then discard a card. When you discard a card this way, put a +1/+1 counter on target fairy you control. So it's kind of like Ledger Shredder from New Capenna. I think I like Ledger Shredder just a little bit more, mostly just because Ledger Shredder costs 2 instead of 3, and will just start conniving for you immediately. So yeah, I think I like that a little bit more. This definitely does have its space, though. It's like I think a slightly different deck is going to care about Talian's Messenger. So yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Bramble Familiar. We talked about this one already as well, but real quick recap. For 5 and 2 green, Sorcery Adventure, mill 7 cards, then put a creature, enchantment, or a land card from among the milled cards onto the battlefield. Pretty easy. And then on the other side, it's a 2/2. It taps for a green. 1 green, tap, discard a card, return Bramble Familiar to its owner's hand. So then you can do the fetch quest again. So it's not that bad. The fetch quest is really expensive, so it's not something you're going to be playing until the late game. But yeah, decent. Lord Skitter, the Sewer King. We talked about this one earlier as well. And this one is really the one that's going to make rats shine. Karamonix was a card that people tried to build around, myself included, and it just didn't really work that well. And I think it's mostly because we didn't have the swarm feature that this set is bringing in. So like, just read this for a second. For 3 mana, it's a 3/3. Legendary creature, Rat Noble. That type line is just hilarious to me. Rat Noble is amazing. Whenever another rat enters the battlefield under your control, exile up to 1 target card from an opponent's graveyard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block. And that's the big difference there. Karamonix gave all your rats toxic and drew more rats off the top of your library. This one just starts spitting them out, eating your opponent's graveyard, and giving you more rats to give toxic to. So it's really, really good. It's like, for the same casting cost as Karamonix, and for a different, not necessarily better effect, but a different effect that pairs well with Karamonix, I think we have the makings of a solid rat deck here. All right, next we have the Likeness Looter. Really cool looking card. So in black and blue, Dimir, we have a 1/1 Fairy Shapeshifter. It has flying. It has tap, draw a card, then discard a card. So that means it's a looter. And then X, Likeness Looter, becomes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with mana value X, except it has flying and this ability. Activate only as a sorcery. Really, really strong. You start throwing creatures into the graveyard. You copy it. Maybe you want this to be a Glissa, or maybe you want it to be a Sheldred, or maybe you want it to be like a dragon. It's like whatever powerful, strong thing is in your graveyard, you can make this a copy of. Only problem is, unlike in reanimation strategies, you need a lot of mana to make it copy something. So I think this card has its space, but we need to find out what that space is. I think this is going to go well in mill strategies. you're probably going to put this in the same deck that you put that blue-black battle card in. The one that mills cards off the top, and then on the backside becomes a copy of a creature in your graveyard. Yeah, I definitely think those two share a common enough theme. Yeah. Okay, so here we have the Apprentice's Folly. So for 2 colorless, a blue and a red, you have choose target non-creature. Oh, it's a saga. And on the first 2 pages of the saga, it's choose target non-token creature you control that doesn't have the same name as a token you control. If a token that's a copy of it, or create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary, is a reflection in addition to its other types, and has haste. And then on the 3rd page, you sacrifice all reflections you control. So it makes a couple really strong token creatures with haste the turn that you play it and the next turn. But you have to get your use out of them within those 2 turns, because then they go away. So I can see this specifically going into a Grixis mill deck or a Grixis legendary deck. So you play them, you get the tokens, you get your use out of them, and then you sacrifice them for benefit using stuff in black. Like sacrifice them for card draw, or sacrifice them to braids, or anything like that. Yeah. So it's decent. It's pretty decent. Okay, here we have The Princess Takes Flight. 2 colorless and a white for another saga. Part 1, exile up to 1 target creature. Part 2, target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains flying until end of turn. In part 3, return the exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Okay, so you're getting something out of the way for a couple turns. That's it. So it's not really great removal. I would probably end up using this as like a blink effect on my own stuff. Like exile a prototype creature or something that has a strong comes into play effect. Like I would not use this as an arrest. The part 2, giving +2/+2 and flying, is not too bad. Yeah. For an uncommon, this is pretty decent. I mean, it's not terrible. You'll definitely see this in draft pods. Some decks might actually try and build this, but I probably won't be one of them. Yeah, not bad. Okay, here we have Bitter Chill. 1 and a blue. It's an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Bitter Chill enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. When Bitter Chill is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 1. If you do, scry 1, then draw a card. This is just a really good tap down enchantment. It's really strong. Yeah. It's 1 less than a typical effect like this. It taps the creature when it comes in, makes it so the opponent's creature never untaps. And yeah, and if you have mana open when this card goes away, then you're pretty solid. You get to have the added effect. Not bad. I like it. Gadwick's First Duel. Another saga. 1 and a blue. Part 1, create a cursed roll token attached to up to 1 target creature. Okay, so you curse something. And scry 2 on the second part. And then on 3 is when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell with mana value 3 or less this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets. Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, I would probably pair this with red, or maybe pair it with black, so you can copy key removal. Cursing a creature is really strong. I do like that effect a lot. The part 2 is probably the weakest part of this, where you just scry 2 on a turn. Yeah, so it's not the best. It's not the worst. It's also not the best. Okay, next up we have Ice Rot Sentry. 2 and a blue, you get a creature elemental soldier. It is a 2/3 with vigilance. Whenever Ice Rot Sentry attacks, you may pay 1 and a blue. When you do, tap target creature and opponent controls. Whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls, Ice Rot Sentry gets +2/+1 until end of turn. Hey, I'm seeing a theme, a frosty theme. Like we had that new Icy Manipulator. We have that enchantment from earlier. We have this guy right here is kind of like a role player for this style of deck. It's looking pretty good. I don't know how strong it's going to be for standard use, but I think there's definitely a draft archetype here for this. Definitely. All right, Ashiok's Reaper, 3 colors and a black, Nightmare. It's a 3/3. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Okay, that's great, because that actually pairs up with that 1 mana black enchantment that makes an opponent discard a card and they lose 2 life. That last part, when you sacrifice it to get that death effect, Ashiok's Reaper is going to trigger and giving you an extra draw as well. Yeah, so it pairs up. Yeah, again, something you're probably only going to see in like draft pods. But if you happen to pair this with like the Saga creatures from what was it? Neon Dynasty. Like, say you pair this with the Rat Gang card. Yeah, this could actually work pretty well. Yeah, because like any enchantment based strategy will definitely benefit from this. I think we just have to find the right shell for this to exist in, because at 4 mana, I mean, what is this guy taking the space of? At 4 mana, most people would rather just be playing Sheldred. So this is going to be a card that has to have like a very specific deck built for it. Because otherwise, in all other instances, you're just going to want to play Sheldred instead. Yeah. Moving on. Back for seconds. I love the creepy food theme in this set. It's really cool. I mean, this person is like, it looks like it's a reflection of her, and she's caught in this giant jello mold. And meanwhile, like, she's trying to brace herself with her axe into like this cake creature thing over here. Like, it's really, really weird. Like, if you look in the background here, you can also see like some kind of like giant gummy worm monster. Like, this is such a wild realm. Anyways, let's get back to the card. 2 colors and a black. It is a sorcery with Bargain. Bargain says you may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast a spell. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, that's pretty good right there. If this spell is bargained, you may put one of those cards with mana value of 4 or less onto the battlefield instead of putting it into your hand. One of them, though. So, 3 mana, bargain it. You likely put a Sheldred back onto the battlefield and then something else back into your hand. Or, here's another thing you can do with this, is you can actually sacrifice a creature that has like a comes into play effect. Like, say, Ravenous Rats or something that has like, when it comes into play, discard a card. You sacrifice it to the bargain, you utilize this, and then you get either that rat back into play immediately, or it goes into your hand. Because like anything 4 or less, you can just say like, I'm going to sacrifice this rat, then it's in the graveyard, then I'm going to get that rat that I used to sacrifice, plus the other card that I really want, and get them both back. I'm going to play around with this card. I think this card is really cool. Yeah. Not to mention, it happens to be a 2-for-1. Okay, next up, we have the Callous Sellsword. For 1 and a black, you get a creature human soldier. As an adventure, it's a red 1, burn together. 1 red. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any other target. Then sacrifice it. So, that says any target, right? So that means creature, it means planeswalker, it means battle, it means player. So this is basically a fling effect. Yeah, it is a fling effect. Yeah, so like your creature will deal damage to whatever, and then you have to sacrifice it. Yeah, easy. I like it. Now the other side is 2/2 for how much mana? 2 mana. So pretty well costed. Callous Sellsword enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each creature that died under your control this turn. Yeah. Again, really good. Not just because you're going to be sacrificing stuff to get this effect and this effect over here, but also if your opponent happens to like board wipe you, you just play this and it comes in as a big boy. So like if you had 4 creatures on the board and your opponent wipes your board, this will come in as a 6/6 for only 2 mana. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Ooh, no. It would have to be an instant speed board wipe. That wouldn't work because this doesn't have flash. So it would definitely have to be instant speed removal or you sacrificing your stuff. That's how that's going to get big. Yeah, so that's not as good as I thought it was. Still pretty decent. Here we have Ego Drain. We saw this in the last one. We'll take another look at it. So 1 black, sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. If you don't control a fairy, exile a card from your hand. So this is basically Thoughtseize with extra steps. It is really, really strong. Like, use 1 mana, take anything out of your opponent's hand. If you've played any of the old formats, you know that Thoughtseize is like an absolute staple. But this one is likely going to be played probably turn 3 or 4 at the earliest, just because you need fairies on the table to avoid that drawback. But yeah, Thoughtseize was good. This is going to be good too. You're going to see this seeing a lot of play. So moving on. We have, oh, that's the Callous Sellsword again. I don't know why that showed up twice. Let's keep moving. All right, Stone Splitter Bolt. So this is X and a red, instant, bargain. Stone Splitter Bolt deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If this spell was bargained, it deals twice X damage to that permanent instead. Okay, that's pretty cool. This would be a lot better if it could go face. I'm not going to lie, that would be amazing. But with this bargain effect doubling the damage that it does, that would definitely be way imbalanced. So you can't be having that. So creature planeswalker, not too bad. Creature planeswalker or battle would be even better. But for X mana red removal, it's not that bad. Yeah, it's not that bad. Okay. Tattered Ratter. Oh my god. Okay, for 1 and a red, Human Peasant. 2/2. Whenever a rat you control becomes blocked, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I don't think we'll be playing this in Standard. Definitely in the Rakdos Rat deck in Draft, though, because that's kind of like a role player. Let's see here. What's the flavor text? What's that, Snappers? Yes, you're right. It was very rude of the innkeeper to throw us out. I love insane people. It's so cool. Yeah, I like it a lot. He's got his little rat boys, his silly upturned toe shoes. Just great art all around. Fantastic. 10 out of 10 flavor. Okay, next up, we have the Howling Gale Fang. So for 2 colorless and 2 green, you get a beast. It's a 4/4. So it's on par with, what was that, the Ravenous Baloth, I think? Yeah, Vigilance. Howling Gale Fang has haste as long as you own a card in exile that has an adventure. Okay, it is suddenly better than Ravenous Baloth. This is good. This is real good. 4 mana. It's very easy to just cast an adventure and just keep the card in exile. So, yeah, this will almost always come down as a 4/4 Vigilance Haste. Yeah, that's good. I like it a lot. Let's see the flavor text. I have to hand it to you, Yorvo. Since your pet showed up, not a single small folk has even made it to the door of my vault. Nice. Great art on that, too. I'm constantly just blown away by the art in this set. The art is so good. I mean, just look at this. Like the beast looks intimidating, powerful, majestic. Really like the enchanted choker that's around his neck. All the little details, and of course the storm that is like surrounding the beast as well. It's like it's just really cool. I like it a lot. 3 bowls of porridge. Okay, so there's a little more fairy tale here. 3 bowls of porridge is an artifact for 2 colorless. Is an artifact food, and it says 2 tap. Choose one that hasn't been chosen. 3 bowls of porridge deals 2 damage to target creature because the bowl was too hot. Tap target creature. Oh, the bowl was too cold. And 3, sacrifice 3 bowls of porridge. You gain 3 life. You know what? I think that bowl was just right. I like it. This is an absolute flavor win. I love everything about this card. Even if I never play this card ever, this is just, it's hilarious. It's on flavor. The art is amazing. It's great. It's good stuff. All right, next up, Return Triumphant. 1 and a white, sorcery. Return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battle. Create a young hero role token attached to it. And this is the one that says whenever this creature attacks, if its toughness is 3 or less, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If you put another role on the creature later, put this one into the graveyard. Yeah. It's not bad. Personally, I think I would rather use... God, what's the card? It's also a white card, same casting cost, does the same thing. Recommission. Yeah, Recommission from Brothers War. I like that one a little bit more because I don't remember if it was sorcery speed or instant speed. I think it was sorcery speed, but it gets whatever you got, puts a +1/+1 counter on it. And it's nice and simple. Yeah, and I think it could also bring artifacts back from the graveyard as well. Yeah, this is solid, but I like the other one more. Not dead after all. Here we go. So got 1 black mana, instant speed. Until end of turn, target creature you control gains when this creature dies. Return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Then create a wicked roll token attached to it. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. When this aura is put into a graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life. So this right here is one of my favorite cards of the set so far because I love scam. And what I mean by that is I mean specifically this effect. Your opponent thinks that you're going to lose your creature, but no. I had 1 black mana open. That card's going to come back. It's going to be back on the table, still being a threat to you, and any comes into play effects trigger again, and it's just really dumb. And it's wonderful with Ravenous Rats style cards. It's great with prototype creatures because they'll come back as their full size. It's great with anything that you want to play that has a relevant comes into play effect. It's like, even imagine you're not playing like an aggressive list, you're playing like a ramp list, and you do this on something like, say, Atali, or what was it? Titan of Industry, like those big cards with big flashy comes into play effects. It's like, this can be backbreaking. And this extra part down here where it says it gets +1/+1 and the opponent loses a life, like, that's very solid too. All right, hang on just a second. My application is doing the thing again. There we go. Can you hear me? All right, sweet. All right, cool. But yeah, this card I'm really excited for. It's probably the best rendition of this kind of effect that's been printed in a long time. So I'm very excited to play with this, especially because it's only common. Virtue of Loyalty. Okay, so I'm thinking that this is going to be an entire cycle. Every color is going to get one. So Virtue of Loyalty. It starts with the adventure, which is Arden Vale Fealty. 1 and a white, instant. Create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Okay, pretty good. Then, on the other side, you pay 5 mana to play the enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Untap those creatures. Wow. That is strong. Because you put a +1/+1 on all your creatures, and then you untap them so you can block with them. Basically, you're giving all your creatures vigilance. This is really expensive, but a really strong effect. It's like, kick your anthems to the curb. This is really strong. Okay, here we are. The Virtue of Persistence. This one we already talked about earlier. This is just a different art for it. Okay. Then we have Agatha's Soul Cauldron. This is an legendary artifact for 2 mana. It says, you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with Agatha's Cauldron. Tap, exile target card from a graveyard. When a creature card is exiled this way, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So, we're going to need to find a lot of creatures with activated abilities, because that is a very strong effect. And even if you don't find a creature that has a good ability, this thing just taps to put +1/+1 counters on creatures. Like, pretty strong. Pretty strong. It reminds me, in green, there is the Ozolith. The Ozolith is 1 colorless and a green, and whenever you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, you put that many +1 counters on that creature. So for every 2, you put 3. For every 3, you put 4. That requires you to be in green, though. This does not. This only requires that you have mana to spend. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. Yeah, this is just really, really strong. And makes sense why it's a legendary artifact. And just the fact that it just taps to exile cards from a graveyard. I mean, you don't even have to... You don't even have to be like be playing like a deck that capitalizes off of that. This could be like a great sideboard card. Like, you remember, what was it? Unlicensed Hearse from New Capenna had an ability just like this, but it was a vehicle that you could crew and hit people with. But this is, I think, on par with that. It's just something that you might throw in your sideboard, bring in against graveyard strategies. Or play it main deck, build around it, and also have good game against graveyard strategies. It's just good. All right, Spellbook Vendor, we already saw that. Extraordinary Journey, saw that already. Talien's Messenger, saw that. Spectre of Mortality. Okay, this is new. 3 colorless, 2 black for a 3/3 flying Spectre. When Spectre of Mortality enters the battlefield, you may exile 1 or more creature cards from your graveyard. When you do, each other creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards exiled. Okay. This is strong. This is really strong. Black has been suffering for a lack of good board wipe material, and this may just be it. You play this in a self-mill style deck, or a deck that plays like a lot of spells. It's just going to be dumping stuff into the graveyard, and you just play this, and for the modality, like you remove 3, 4, 5, however many cards you need from your graveyard. I mean, this guy just nukes the board, and it says each other creature, which means this is not going to kill itself. This is fantastic. You can definitely expect to see a lot of this guy being played. Absolutely. Fantastic card. That's going to be like a day one crap for me. Likeness Looter, we've seen this one already. Soul Guide Lantern. Let's see this. This is 1 colorless for an artifact. When Soul Guide Lantern enters the battlefield, exile target card from a graveyard. Tap, sacrifice Soul Guide Lantern, exile each opponent's graveyard. 1 tap, sacrifice Soul Guide Lantern, draw a card. I think this is a reprint of, or at least a functional reprint of older cards. Because I remember seeing this exact card in, I think it was Midnight Hunt, like the Innistrad set. Yeah, because like this is a card that gets functionally reprinted, probably like every like 4 or 5 sets. Yeah. Okay. Enchanting Tales. Okay, so these are old reprints, so we don't have to worry about these. A lot of great art on these, though. Phyrexian Unlife. I just want to read this real quick. This is actually really dope art. I mean, look at that. That's like one of the portal holes that the Phyrexians ripped open. That's just really cool to look at. And it's like dripping like ichor or glistening oil or something. It's so bizarre. I like it. Okay, 2 and a white enchantment. You don't lose the game for having 0 less life. As long as you have 0 less life, all damage is dealt to you as though its source had infect. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, you basically become a lich, but you are not immune to poison. Okay, that's easy. That's pretty cool. Yeah, not bad. Rest in peace. Okay, that's another one. Goblin Bombard. Okay, that art is gorgeous. I love it. He's got a little bomb. He's just flying. He's gonna just blow himself up. He doesn't care. What a good boy. Oh my god. Grasp of Fate. And there's a lot of these reprints. Ground Seal, I remember that. That was originally from Odyssey. That's a good card. Okay. All right, so that's the end of this list of spoils. So we're going to go ahead and pause this recording, and we're going to start a next one.